Welcome to the Wednesday, February 8th, 2023 Planning Board meeting for the town of Raymond. The Planning Board will come to order. The board does have a quorum, and we'll start with roll call down that end.
Mike Richmond.
Mike D'Arcangelo.
Greg Foster.
Robert O'Neill.
Ed Greenwich. Mark Childs.
Kevin Woodbury.
This is a public proceeding, and unless the board specifically votes to go into executive session, you have the right to hear everything that is being said and to look at all the exhibits that are presented. Please notify the chair if you are unable to see or hear. The board works from a published agenda and will be considering tonight's items in the following order. We have the approval of minutes. We have the public hearing for the 2023 ordinance amendments. Under old business, we have a Nicole Starrett applicant, I'm not sure what, status review. And then new business, we have the Tranquil Cove Acres, Stephen and Hilda's Clark application, and Stephen and Susan Adams lot line change. In each instance, the burden is upon the applicant to demonstrate compliance with the provisions of the applicable ordinances or state law. All persons speaking, including representatives of the applicant and members of the public, are asked to stand at the microphone and state their name, address, and affiliation with the application. All persons speaking shall address the chair. After the board votes on the merits of each application, it will prepare a written notice of decision. Because the notice of decision may substantially affect any appeals rights, and also as a matter of courtesy, the board asks that those attending the meeting with regard to a specific application not leave until the board has completed its discussion. Appeals from adverse decisions must be filed with the Superior Court or as otherwise provided by law within 45 days of this board's decision. Also, to be certain that you preserve your individual rights to file any such appeal, you must be certain that the board records evidences of your appearance this evening. Okay. Should put that on a tape recorder. Approval of minutes is the first item of business for the Wednesday, January 11th, 2023 meeting.
Move to accept the minutes.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion, changes, anything? All those in favor? Opposed?
Aye.
Minutes are accepted. Thanks, Kevin. All right, our next order of business is the public hearing regarding the ordinance changes. Is anybody here for that particular reason? The public hearing for the ordinance changes? No. Okay. How do you want? I think we do need an individual vote, would be my guess, right?
For each one, yeah.
For each one.
Yeah.
How would the board like to proceed? I mean, we've discussed this a number of times. There doesn't seem to be any that are
Shipping containers, right?
The only one that has any, real changes is shipping containers. Everything else
is as they've been
Yep.
changed. Okay. The board have any preference? Do you want a quick summary of each one? Do you want to just move to vote on them? I take it there's nobody on the telephone for the public hearing portion? Nope.
I'm okay with the amount of discussion we've had on them already.
Yeah.
Except, is there an additional update from last week or last month?
Yeah, so the only change was, so I sent all of these to the town's attorney, Phil Saucier, and he reviewed all of them. The only thing he altered was shipping containers, and the changes that he made were pretty minor. It was a slight modification to how we presented it. Instead of it being temporary construction, permanent construction, it's now temporary use, permanent use instead of construction. He didn't like that, the way we had it set up that way. The only other thing that he changed that was kind of substantial is we had based it on using the 2021 IBC section for shipping containers. And it's his opinion that we can't actually use that because it's not adopted by MUBEC through the state. We're on the 2015 version. I don't necessarily agree. I think we can actually adopt a section of a code into the ordinance for zoning purposes, but he's the attorney, so we'll go with what he says.
2021.
Yep, so that's the only thing I was gonna say. There is one error in the public hearing document in the first part. or the second part, I think.
B1.
B1, yep, has the 2021. So that just needs to get
B1A.
altered to match the first section. So if you guys accept that and recommend approval, it would be with that modification. Otherwise, he didn't really change anything. There were some, minor wording changes, but for the most part, the intent is the same.
Okay.
I agree with that. I'm comfortable.
You're comfortable?
We've discussed it enough.
Yeah. Kevin, you okay with just proceeding?
Yeah, okay.
All right, so we have three options for each of the ordinances, proposed ordinance amendments. We can approve, we can send to the selectmen recommending approval, we can send to the selectmen just as is, or we can send the selectmen not recommending approval. So the motion then has to actually be for one of those. And we need to go a little bit slow so Sandy can keep track of us. So for 23 Tech 1, 23 Tech 01, the shoreline zoning ordinance, modification 350-7.7. Do we have a motion? Anybody want to try it?
I would move that we recommend adoption by the select board.
So then the select board recommending approval.
Yeah.
Is there a second?
Second.
Great. Any discussion? All those in favor? Kevin?
Aye.
7-0. Next is the shoreline zoning, let's see, no, I'm sorry. Next is land use ordinance 300-13, TAC 3, the open space subdivisions, correcting and clarifying ordinance errors. Is there a motion?
Same motion.
Second.
Skip one?
Yeah, I was just wondering that. I think I did. I think I skipped 3, didn't I?
No, they were,
They're all under one.
all under one, but you might just want clarified that they were what they were.
Yeah, I'll do that right after this one. Thanks. Okay, the motion is on the floor by Mike to approve and send to the selectmen recommending approval. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Passes. Just to drop back a second, and for Sandy, our first motion covered shoreline zoning ordinances 350-8.2, 350-7-3, and 350-5.4, and 350-8.2 are all included in Mike's motion. As a friendly amendment, I think that's okay. We could just do it that way. Yeah. All right, next up is shoreline ordinance 300-10.5 on the amendment to the special features standards. Is there a motion?
Same motion.
Mike moves to approve, recommending approval to the selectmen. Second.
Second.
Greg. Any discussion? Yep. Oh, you're ahead of me. All those in favor? Aye. Motion pass. Next up is the land use ordinance 300-9.22, shipping containers, defining terms. We need to have any, Alex, explanation to this beyond what we've done?
No, I would just say if you're going to send it to the select board and recommend approval, just send it with the modification that we just discussed to that section.
Okay. Is there a recommendation? Excuse me, is there a motion? Mike, do you want to do the same motion?
Same.
Pretty soon
We're
you
on a
just
roll.
Ditto.
Mike recommends any selectmen with a recommending of approval. Greg, you're up.
Do it second.
Oh, right, jumps in. Mark.
I wasn't paying attention.
All right, this is for 300-9.22, the shipping containers with mods as discussed. All those in favor?
Aye.
Passed. Next is land use ordinance 300-2, TAC 2, land use regulation map, an amendment to the land use regulation zoning map, correcting minor errors.
That also includes the shoreline zoning.
Oh, thank you. And also Shoreline Zoning Ordinance 350-21. Thanks, Jim. Mike?
Same motion.
Mike recommends approval, forwarding to the selectmen recommending approval.
Second.
Greg seconds, beating out Mark. Is there
What's-
any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion pass. 2 to go. Subdivision ordinance articles 6, parent 4, and 7, parent 4, requiring notification to all lot owners within the subdivision when an amendment is proposed. Mike, you making the same motion?
Recommend approve and recommend approval by select.
Oh, now, all right. Is there a second?
Second.
Right. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Pass. Thanks, Kevin. And our last one, Land Use Ordinance 300-9.26, accessory apartments, 300-12.2, terms defined, 350-5.4, table of land use changes, and 350-8.2, terms defined, amends to maintain consistency with LD 2003.
Which is accessory dwelling.
What did I say?
No, I just, people in the public may not know what that LD is.
Oh, gotcha.
It's accessory dwelling units.
Accessory dwelling units. Is,
Same motion.
you dropping back now?
Yeah,
You-
it's too hard.
Second.
Mike recommends approval, sending selectmen with approval. Greg has
Keep
seconded.
it simple.
Ed.
Yeah, better
Oh, Ed's.
Yeah, the other Greg.
Oh, Ed. Geez, what am I doing with Greg the whole time? I'm looking at you and... Sandy, did you catch that?
Sandy got it right. I don't know.
Every time I said Greg, I meant Ed. And then when I said Ed, I meant Greg.
I'm living rent-free in your head.
Well, yeah, I don't want to go into that. Is there, we need a vote. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, pass. Sorry, I didn't know how I did that one. That's why you were, all right. Done. Sandy, you okay? Did you get all that? Okay. So next up is a status review for site plan for the commercial use in R1 from Nicole Starrett. Asked to be put on the agenda. Nicole, you here? Are you there?
Her name?
Nicole, you're up there. Nicole, are you on there?
And my engineering consultant from Mainland, Rick, is also here.
Okay, is there a reason you asked to be put on the agenda?
I didn't necessarily ask. I kind of just want to show an update of where we are. It should take like 2 seconds.
Okay, we don't usually, normally we don't usually take, we only review applications, but sure, if you want to tell us where you are, that's fine.
We also don't have to if you
Nope,
just
go ahead,
want us.
that's fine. So who's doing it?
Rick would be.
Rick?
Yeah, thanks everyone for having me on the interwebs through the video. It sounds like you guys have a full agenda, so I don't think we want to take a lot of your time, especially given the initial conversation there. But Mainland has been retained by the Starretts to work through the site plan review memo that Jim produced, and as well as we've got some comments, I guess, from the Raymond Fire Chief. So Mainland's been on this for a little while, but this kind of all landed in a time when a lot of us consultants were backlogged, especially in the survey end of things. So by now we've now got a site plan survey, excuse me, and we're ready to move on to some engineering design now that we have that basis of background information. And what I think we look forward to is going through the review memo, drafting up some comments on here's how we propose to address these issues, and the solutions for those comments.
Okay. Anybody have any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you folks for your time.
Nicole, do you have questions?
I do not.
Okay. Done. Next order of business, Tranquil Cove Acres.
Overlap you.
So this is now 1, 2, 3.
It's exempt.
Exempt, still shown. Exempt.
It's Bill, right?
Yes.
Jim, you want to start us off?
Sure. Mr. Chair, Planning Board members, this was before you, I believe, back in December, which at that time, I think we all understood, or maybe had some clarity as to this was a little bit complex because this Tranquil Cove, formerly Potvin Minor subdivision, was really one lot out of others owned by Diane Potvin. And I believe at that time we had requested that somebody put together an overall property plan showing how all these lots are being broken out, because each one is now kind of have its own subdivision going forward. I don't think we've seen that yet.
No.
So that'll be something that we'll need to see. But just moving forward with this as it stands right now, this is going to be, talking with Alex, I guess there is some numbering sequences here that we've discovered. The Cutler lot is actually not going to be included in the lot for our conversation with the attorney. That's an existing lot.
That's lot number 1?
Yeah, it will not be a lot. It'll be shown, but it won't be numbered.
Okay.
The Diane Potvin lot is 1.
Yep. 1 and 2 would be the lot on the other side of the road.
Right, 2 on the other side, and then, did we get an answer on the proposed for family
The
member?
proposed family member lot can be considered exempt as long as it was a gift or was sold for less than 50% of the assessed value, which I believe I was told it was a gift. So if that's the case, then it's exempt and would be still shown like the Cutler lot, but it wouldn't be considered a lot in the
That's
subdivision.
interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting.
So it would qualify still as a minor subdivision going forward.
Okay.
Going through the technical review, we did have a few comments and concerns. A couple of them are minor, but a few of them are a little bit more. There is an easement where Eastern Painted Turtle Road right away was shown going through the Diane Potvin lot. I guess we just need to know, is that going to be dissolved with the new orientation of the road, or will that continue to be a right-of-way or an easement? Because it kind of transects the Diane Potvin lot on the southern side. Also, probably of bigger consequence, we know from other subdivisions down here, there's a lot of vernal pools down here, and we have not seen any documentation saying that they've gone out and looked at these during the breeding periods to see if there's any other wetlands out here. I do know that I think we got one on the other subdivision that they did the front portion, but I didn't see that we did anything with regards to looking at potential for vernal pools. I know the wetlands have been delineated, but the vernal pools issue is a little bit different, and I know that was a big issue on one of the other ones that was Chase was presenting that created a lot of complexities with setbacks, so that's something we need to look at. The other items that I had to deal with, this is in the shoreline zone. All of Raymond Cape is in the shoreline zone, so one of the things we need to be very cognizant of is lot clearing and the percentages of lot clearing on the lots. There's a limitation in the shoreline zone. I think when they did their phosphorus calculations, they may have included areas that are larger than what we could allow under the shoreline zone clearing, so we need to be careful about that. And then there are some existing vegetated buffers on this plan, which I think were from previous actions. So I'm just going to kind of say that those are existing. but we probably will need, like I said, either restrictions or some kind of buffering for the actual lots themselves. Because I know they're looking at it from the road perspective, but probably on the lots, we'll need to see somehow how they're controlling phosphorus within the lots themselves. I know the fire chief had some comments. I didn't see a stormwater management report with this per se, and I guess the only thing I said is we just need to look to see how those lots are impacting the phosphorus calculations. There was no HHE 200s provided, so I'm not certain to the septic design. I think there's test pits shown, but we just haven't seen an actual design for the septic system. And we did get documents for as part of the association. Again, like I said, the biggest issue is we need to have some kind of clarity on the overall Potvin, I'll call it the Potvin Empire down there and how it all comes together. The last thing we need on both of the plans that you'll get this evening is, I think going forward, we're going to want that sunset provision which discusses the terms of the approval dates and when they expire.
Right.
That note should be on the plan as well. Oh, one other item I had, sorry, was on the existing part of Eastern Painted Turtle Road, we did want some evidence that the road was constructed per private road standards that are in place now, so we will need to have a statement from an engineer saying the widths and the depth of materials meet town specifications for private road. So with that, I guess I can turn it back over to Representative Bill from DH2M, and he can take you through anything I missed or follow up with any questions.
Okay, just before we go, the proposed lot for the family member is part of the subdivision or not part of the subdivision?
Part of the subdivision, it's just not numbered.
It wouldn't be considered a lot
Right.
in the
But
subdivision.
it needs to be shown on the plan.
Correct.
So if that lot is later split, it comes back to the planning board as part of the
Anything changes
subdivision?
on this plan, it has to come back to planning board.
Okay,
any
so even
lot
though
line-
it's not a lot
Correct.
per se, it still is a lot.
It's a lot, the family
Or the
member,
subdivision.
the family member that was gifted, can develop that, build a home
Yeah.
on it. If they sell it within 5 years, they have to come back to the board, correct?
Yeah. They have to hold it for 5 years.
You have to hold it for 5 years. If they come back within 5 years, it's an amendment to the subdivision.
And then we go to a 4-lot subdivision.
Right,
Yeah.
which is still minor, right?
I think that kicks it up
Isn't that
to,
That kicks up the next
It
level.
kicks it up to major.
yeah.
Yep.
So, which is going to change the road, right?
The road's already pretty
Roads- nope.
wide. I don't think it would affect that, but it
Just the
might-
review, Paul, it's just some of the
Yeah.
review. Some things under minor subdivision you can waive, which under major you cannot.
Okay.
So that it doesn't change the road design at all.
Alright.
Because the road's still designed, because you have lots beyond this,
Okay.
it's still built to that 4 to 10
Standard.
lot level.
Okay. Okay, Bill?
Thank you. Is the microphone on? Bill Thompson, DH2M Engineers, Project Manager, and with me tonight is Austin Fagan, one of the engineers. Doing this for Diane Potvin, and summary from Jim was quite detailed. If Lot 1 is not a lot, then we have what I've shown as Lot 2 and 3. It's really 2 lots. And that gifted lot, yes, the deed states that it was for no compensation. So I think we're qualified that is the case. The lots will be served by the Eastern Painted Turtle Road, and that was built 15 years ago, 2008, 2009. So that, when it was built, it was inspected, tested, gravel width, depth, and it is designed and built to serve the additional homes. So we don't see a problem with that. And when Eastern Painted Turtle Road was built for that subdivision on the far end, on the easterly end, it went to DEP. DEP did a stormwater review. We got a stormwater permit. So all of the issues with runoff, pre and post treatment and quantity, there's a number of different buffers along that existing road and vegetative soil filters. So this parcel, being next to it, received quite a bit of review to include whatever's draining into this road was evaluated and treated and met the DEP standards. So we feel pretty comfortable with what was done out there. Some of Jim Seymour's comments, we will add well zones, and on the HHE 200 forms, typically I don't do those until we're getting a building permit. These two lots what we call 2 and 3 on this plan, will be sold. So we don't know where they're going to build, what they're going to build, or how it's going to be situated. Diane's not building houses as part of this development. So I've shown 2 test pits on each lot to show that the lots would support a septic system of a 3-bedroom nature. But until somebody comes to the code officer, says, here's my site plan, I want to build a house here, here's my septic, here's my well, it'll meet the well zone separation of 100 feet. So I'd like to think those things can be brought forward as the lots are being built on. We can add, he asked a couple notes about silt barriers being placed. On sheet 2, we do have a detail for how erosion control should be managed for any site development, so that we don't have any issues, soil erosion surrounding. And again, we're just looking at 2 lots, 2 houses, driveway, so it's pretty minimal disturbance and improvements, if you will. Same with driveway locations. Those will be picked at the time of a building permit. We don't know where the house would be situated, garage right, garage left, and we think that could be part of the permits at that time. We don't think the main historic preservation is relevant. Typically, that's when you're working in a neighborhood with old homes and, historic. There's nothing out here. We have elevation that would situate the 2 houses, and we don't see that either one would impact anybody's visual. Shoreline zoning criteria will meet. We're going to take a look at what we're going to need to do for phosphorus, whether it to be a foundation drip edge. We don't think we have, we don't have a whole lot of issues given the limited number of square feet and the improvements that are going to be done. Talked about the HHE 200, test pits are on there. Vernal pool review, yes, we have one area up on this corner that it could be a potential vernal pool. All of these other wetlands are what they call flow-through, and flow-through drainage swales, whatever, they cannot support a vernal pool. It needs to be a confined basin, if you will. And this one here up in the corner qualifies for that, and come spring, well, we're getting close now, a couple of months, we'll be able to take a look at that and see if it is a significant vernal pool or not. But the other wetlands on there are just basically forested wetlands with drainage swale, and there'd be no issue with any vernal pool issues on those. The 15% limits on improvements, footprint of structures, parking, and non-vegetated surfaces will be met. We added a fire lane turning bump out, if you will, based on the fire chief's design standards, and on sheet 2 we have the details of how that'll work. 20 feet wide and I believe 65 feet deep from the center line of the eastern painted turtle. So I think we're in pretty good shape. It's a fairly simple project that we want to fine-tune some of the things that we talked about tonight, what the planning staff has talked about, and bring it back. And one thing I'd like to ask, potential, this lot 3 has a potential for a significant vernal pool. If approval could be granted with a condition that this buyer can come up with a site plan, show where they want to build, show the setbacks, a 100-foot setback on the vernal pool, and then a 250, and there is some provision you can impact 10% of that setback between the 100-foot and the 250. So if we showed a potential building site, showed the setback, showed a 10% impact if it is needed with the septic and well locations, would the town consider approval before the vernal pool season, if that was requested?
That's a good question, Bill.
Sounds reasonable.
I don't know, do anybody have any thoughts?
So you're saying you would do what would be required if this was a significant permit?
Right, I would treat this as if it was significant and show the setbacks and the area of potential disturbance to make the site work.
The only question I have with that is if it is a vernal pool and they can't make it work, then we've approved an unbuildable lot.
That's exactly what I was thinking there.
Puts you in a kind of a precarious.
Well, I'd submit the requirements first before the board would vote on that. If you would just,
Well, are you, is your goal to get to the next meeting for final approval? Is that what you're hoping for?
I don't think I'll make March due to the submission deadlines.
So you're hoping for April?
Yeah.
Bill, can you, I'm just throwing this out there, could you, if you were to say worst case scenario that was a vernal pool, could you do a plan for the April submission that might show that worst case scenario? Then if it's, then if it's relinquished, then we could put a note on the plan that says, you know, following a study, we'll assume it's a vernal pool for now.
Right.
Worst case scenario. And if it's determined by study that it's not, setbacks may be reduced to what's allowed by DEP.
I thought that's what he asked.
I could have that for the April meeting.
Right, but he's gonna have to show us, I thought he was
I'll show
gonna
you a
wait.
site plan with all the
Everything
things
on
that
it.
we're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe I took it out of the wrong sequence. I thought he was gonna wait to see if he had a vernal pool
Oh,
before he did that.
No, you were saying you couldn't wait that long.
Yeah.
Yeah, is that,
I think that's fair.
Yeah, I mean, if he can show that with the worst case scenario, it's still a buildable lot, then I think we'll be fine.
Kevin, it seem reasonable to you?
That seems okay with me.
Okay, yep, so,
That's good. Good, thank you.
And I did have one question as well, if I can. With the stormwater management permit you did, was that, when was that done?
Well, it was 2007 or 2008.
So it was under the current standards for stormwater originally?
Correct.
And at that time, did you, most of the time you do a stormwater permit, you have to do a historic preservation letter? Was that
All
part of
that
that
was part of it.
application?
Correct.
So if you have that, or if we have that, or somebody has that on record, just provide us evidence of that, and that'll meet the historic
Okay.
piece of that. And then, yeah, on the lots themselves, because I know when the DEP reviews that, they're only looking at the road.
Just the road, because we're not building
Right,
lots.
but the town's gonna look at the lot coverage for the lots, all of it. So I think your point about doing drip edges and anything you can with maybe a few buffers for any, if there's any lengthy driveways, makes some sense.
We could take a look at that.
Yep, okay. Oh, and the, what's going to happen with that right of way that,
To the south of the.
Yeah,
Well, it's not part of the project, but I would say if anything happens out there, that old right-of-way will be relinquished.
because right now, obviously, that's a restriction on that lot, right?
Right, but there's nothing proposed at this time.
No, I was just wondering if they want to just release.
Yeah, it makes sense to get rid of it, yeah.
I would just get rid of it now with the recording, because if you
Sure,
do it later,
okay.
you got to come back
Yep,
again.
okay, that's a good point, yeah.
I have a question. Do you know the lot area shown, does that subtract the wetlands? Or is it just including everything within
The
that?
wet area, excuse me, the lot areas on there are complete, everything, the lots.
Okay, because in the shoreland, you have to subtract areas below the upland edge of a wetland from the lot calculation. There could be some question on the classification of the wetland. Maybe if it's forested, you might not need to, but we'd probably have to look at that.
Yeah,
I think you'd be okay either way, but it is
Yeah,
a 3 acre
okay.
little minimum lot.
right, the
so-
lots are all large. You know, we have 5 and 4 acres, and I think they're classified as forested wetlands.
Yeah, so I would think you might want to just look at the definition in the shoreline zoning ordinance for wetland.
Sure.
Make sure that you'll be able to take that out. I think you can, but just something you might want to look at.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, it gets a little unusual in this case because most towns it's 250, but in our town, all of Raymond Cape is in a shoreline zone.
Yeah.
that was Greg's idea.
I noticed the whole peninsula is shoreline zone.
Bill, the turnaround that you have for the fire department, is that, Wayne, is that where you want it?
It's 1,000 feet in from Raymond Cape Road, which is what I was shooting for.
Normally he likes it at the end.
Well, no, because
Well, there is another one at the
this,
end.
this
There is
another
no one
one.
yet. Oh,
This is an
okay.
intermediate one because the road's so long. It's
Yeah.
an intermediate.
Yep.
I didn't see one at the end.
Are you okay with
The
it,
next
Wayne?
project has one that
Okay.
that was approved.
All right, that's fine then.
Wayne's gonna.
Yeah, that's okay. That's all right, Wayne. It's okay, Wayne, I got it.
So the only other thing, the location would be fine. We did have some comments in our memo of from January, and just would want to make sure those get addressed before final approval.
And you have that, right, Bill?
Yes, I do.
Signs and things like that.
Bill?
Yes.
You have that
Yeah,
memo?
I'm sorry, yes.
Yeah, okay.
So Jim, I guess I have a question. I know these are large lots, but what if one was all ledgy and we found out that it wouldn't, you couldn't put a septic in it? Are we okay approving lots?
Typically, good question. Typically, we get test pit data, which I believe we have.
Yeah.
Which proves that there
Really
is
good
soils
soils
that
out
could
there,
pass.
yeah.
And what we typically do, Bill, is we ask for a typical HHE 200. We understand that these things are fluid and they move with a house location,
Mm-hmm.
but we just ask to at least get a typical HHE 200. It does need to be signed, but usually that's enough to
Going
suffice
bed
for the board
size
to
and
say,
location, sure.
gives us an idea of the dimension and size of the
Yep.
septic system that would be on the lot.
Yep. Yeah, we didn't find any ledge with these test pits. We just took two random spots and
Well,
it's just,
that's how we
you know,
usually
just a gravelly,
Would.
I don't know what the classification is, but we did not have any ledge issues on this site.
So, go ahead, Leo.
The lot on the water side, it doesn't look like there's a test pit on that one, since we would be considering that a separate lot.
There's no proposal for anything on that lot.
Well, it's still gonna be considered a separate lot, so I think if the board's going to approve it as a lot, you need to show that it can support a septic, right?
Yep.
Yeah, because we can't create non-conforming or unbuildable lots.
Which I'm sure it can, I'm sure it's no
Right.
problem.
Okay.
And
Excuse me, this is Diane. My understanding was basically 10 years after that road was built, that was already a separate lot. That's when it became a separate lot. When our attorney spoke, that's what was clarified to me.
Diane, you talking about the lot on the water side?
Yeah, the south,
Yes.
south side of the road.
Yeah, my attorney spoke to the special attorney because Bernstein Shore is conflicted. That's funny, huh? Are they always conflicted? I don't know. Because it was, so that would have been created in like, what, 2018, it became a separate lot?
so, let me just,
And in fact, I will say, I actually did have some tests done and that they're both fine.
okay, that's all we need.
Because it's already, it became a lot in 2018. So your attorney said it should not be on this plan.
Well, that was going to be my question.
Yeah.
Is this part of the land that we're reviewing, because I do see it's a different color line going around that now. So,
It's just in a butter, really.
yeah, I guess that's what I'm,
Yeah.
That's the opposite of what he told me, so it doesn't really make much sense for me, but,
It's really, because if it's in there and you're gonna approve it, it's kind of a moot point. But I will, it's just that I did have those done. I don't have them at my fingertips. But
wasn't that part of the overall Potvin Empire at one point? So I think it does get pulled in.
but it would have, how do I say this? It would have been so much of a bigger undertaking than the discussions, than what was said to me. And in fact, there was a like slideshow done that he prepared of the lots that excluded the waterfront. So now I'm confused.
Well, I think there's a bigger area here that we're trying to clarify as well, which is all of the properties you held, because they're all kind of being developed simultaneously. We need to see the overall.
Well, actually not developed. I just wanted to hold them, quite honestly. I went through a divorce I did not want to go through. The court assigned me 3 separate lots that I thought I had 3 separate lots. Don Dyer met with Alex. That's what she understood we had paid taxes on for 20 years. And then I thought I was giving one piece to my daughter. I've known Allison since she was an infant, and I sold it to her then less than half of what it was appraised for. So it's not like I really wanted, I just want to leave it there. I want to leave it alone. I just, maybe it would have been easier for the state to find me. I don't know.
No, I don't think, I think what you have the information we need. It sounds like she has test pit data on that lot already. That's all we're asking for. And then I think we can just proceed. You know, whether the attorneys agree it's part of the subdivision or not, I guess we'll work out in the interim.
It doesn't make much difference.
It doesn't make much difference whether it's on the plan or not on the plan. We can rectify everything through this
Right.
process.
Yep.
Will there be a sunset date on the road construction? Because it sounds like she does not plan to, you know.
The road's in,
go
isn't
The
it?
road's there.
It's
Road's
just
there.
dirt gravel road. It's,
Oh,
the detail shows it paved, or shows a turnaround paved.
Turn around, that's an option. Yep.
Okay, so it may not be paved?
Yeah, I didn't understand it had to be paved.
It doesn't
No,
need. it
no,
does-
I just thought from your drawings that it was
Yeah.
you intended to, but if not, that's,
Yeah, I don't,
No, but there will be, the sunset provision will be on there for this, but there's really, to your point, it's, the road's already there, so, I mean, we'll put the note on there, but the road's already in.
well,
Bill, I had one other question. Is that, well, now, if it's not part of the approval, then I guess that's maybe why it wasn't shown. I just had a question about the flood zone for Sebago Lake and the elevation.
yeah, that's elevation 278, I think. It's down at the lower end of that lot on 268, I think is the 100-year flood.
Yeah, I thought it was 267.1, is it?
Yeah, I read somewhere it was 268.
I don't know off the top of my head.
It's in that range.
Yeah, yeah,
268
we're within a
is what I
foot
normally
from each
use.
other, but
Yeah, I just didn't know if that lot had any floodplain.
it doesn't really come up into that lot at all.
Okay, I just couldn't follow the contours and I was
Sure.
trying to backtrack, but
Yep.
it looked like the lower end of that might be part of that floodplain. I didn't
Yeah,
know.
it's just right along the very, very bottom edge, yeah.
so if lot 2 goes away,
Lot 2 becomes Lot 1.
well, lot 2 becomes lot 1,
Yep,
the exempt lot becomes lot 2.
Yep.
Right? And then lot 3 stays lot 3. If lot 2 goes away,
well,
then we're
Lot
only left with
3
2
becomes,
lots.
Lot 3 becomes Lot 2.
But then is it still a subdivision?
Yes.
But then the Diane Potvin lot would have to be sold together. You couldn't sell those separately.
Right, okay, yep. Yep, okay.
So, I mean, they could do that, I suppose.
Right.
I don't see why you would want to.
Right.
point,
Yeah,
right.
Once I've been through all of this,
Yeah.
All right, so where are we?
it's been very educational.
So you need to, did we, I can't remember if we accepted this as a sketch plan last time or not.
I would know that.
If not, then you need to schedule for a public hearing. Or if you do, it needs to be scheduled for a public, either way, it needs to be scheduled for a public hearing.
Yes.
Which,
Yes.
because it's minor, you could go to final at the same time.
I don't think I think this is, we just looked at it as sketch plan review last time.
Okay. So you need to schedule a public hearing, but with the understanding that if everything's in order, you could, because it's minor, give it final approval.
That'd be the April meeting,
At the April.
Yep.
and we could
Yeah.
have the details of how we're trying to work that second lot with the vernal pool potential.
Right.
Okay, so we do have a couple of things. First, which we probably should have already done, we need to have a vote to accept to deem the application complete.
So moved.
We should do that first. So Greg has moved the application complete. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, any discussion? Everybody okay with that? Okay, all those in favor? Okay, so we got to.
Aye.
All right, so our next step then would be for preliminary approval, based upon what we have so far, and to schedule the public hearing for the April meeting. Jim, does that sound okay with what we are still waiting?
Yeah, I think as long as the information as discussed is submitted in time,
Right.
we can schedule for a public hearing.
Yeah, it'd be better not to do it twice. You fairly confident you can make be a March deadline for the April meeting, or do you want to?
Yes, no, we can make that.
You can make that,
Yep.
okay? All right. Is there any other, I didn't mean to close the discussion here. Is there anybody else that has any questions on the application? Okay, so we need a motion to accept, to grant preliminary approval. What are we calling this one? To Tranquil Cove Acres. Is there a motion
So moved.
and a second?
Second.
And Sandy, you catch that? Greg and Ed, in the proper order? Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, aye. And then a public hearing in April, assuming everything. Sandy, when do you have to send that out? The public hearing?
I have to look at a calendar. Give me 1 second.
Be mid-March,
Something in March, yeah.
middle of March.
Yeah, let me see. The meeting is April 12th, so I'm grabbing my calendar now.
Yep.
I needed to know the meeting date to start with. Come on, next month, there we go. All right, April 12th, so it would have to be published April 7th and March 31st, so I would have to send that out probably the week before that, which would be the 24th.
March 24th.
March 24th.
Yeah.
Okay. So Bill, if things are not happening by March 24th, would you let Sandy know?
Sure.
And then we'll just push the whole thing to the May.
That's plenty of time for us.
Mr.
Thank you.
Chair, I have one question.
Yep.
That is, where do we do this, Alex, with your conversations with the attorney? Do we still need that overall property plan?
It was his request to have the overall property plan. Bill and I talked about this
Put
earlier.
something, oh, sorry to speak over you. I need to ask, though, that he put something in writing to my attorney, because that's not my attorney's understanding before I invest in that. It's a whole huge addition to this project, and it makes no sense given the main state law that it became a separate piece of property in 2018. He said he wanted it, that we could show it as an exempt piece, not that it had to be included for review and approval, is how my attorney explained it to me, and it was shown to me visually on a slideshow he said he got from your attorney. So a totally different concept than what was explained to me. It's not funny, Alex.
No, I created the slideshow. That's what I was saying.
Well,
So what he suggested you guys ask for is a drawing that shows all three parcels and how they're being split, so that it's clear down the road what went where.
Because this is all one parcel to
Yeah.
start with, right?
Yep. So Bill and I talked about this earlier, and he can jump into. He has access to the survey information for both of these two contiguous parcels here, but not the third one, which was Brandon Chase.
Okay.
That was done by Sebago. So I don't know if maybe you guys would accept just these two, and then a note for that one explaining what happened with that third lot, to kind of make this go a little smoother, but that's up to you.
yeah. how am I to do that? That's not my lot anymore.
Yeah, I've got the information, obviously, with both parcels, and with the CAD capabilities, I can put an overall together at a 200 scale, which would show the relationship of these two projects. No time at all.
I understand what you're saying now. You're talking about something different than pulling in. You're talking about showing my land and Steve Clark's land all as one, and then basically we'll do the outline.
Correct.
Correct.
All right, that's something totally different than what I was getting from the previous conversation. I am sorry for speaking over to you and speaking up. It's been a concerning process, as you can imagine.
Okay, so so we could go for 2. The third one, where are we? That third one, Chase, has been
Withdrawn. I believe.
Withdrawn.
withdrawn, right? So it's just a lot.
It's a moot point then.
Moot point, yeah.
A lot, but it's just.
And it was the first split.
It was the first
so
split.
it was a legal split.
So why don't we just go with the 2?
I think
Is
that's
that-
fine.
Yeah, and
Whatever you-
with the understanding that I would just like to have the attorneys at least review, so they're all on the same page.
Yeah.
To make sure, okay,
Make sure that our attorney, town's attorney,
okay.
and their attorney are on the same page, so we don't,
I'll have it in as part the March 24th submission.
Yeah.
I'll have that
Okay.
plan.
yeah, just so that we don't get any confusion
Yep.
at the public hearing.
Is that okay with everybody?
Yeah.
They're okay with it? All right, okay.
Just
Let's
a
do that.
reminder to Bill that the filing date is March 8th. But if it's going to change, I can hold off sending the notices if he lets me know before the 24th.
Okay. March 8th. Okay, it's 24 hours in a day.
All right, you have any other questions?
Tell my
Bill?
engineer. No. I'm good with that, if,
Yep, I think we're all set.
okay.
All right, next up is
Next door.
next door. Right next door. All right, Jim?
Okay, so this is the Woodstone subdivision, which is located between the Brandon Chase parcel and the parcel you just looked at. They are proposing a new road going in, 5-lot subdivision. This would be a major subdivision. And going through things, they did provide a large stormwater management plan. I believe they're going to be filing that for stormwater permit, is that correct?
It's filed.
It's filed, okay. Did we get a copy?
Yeah.
Okay. With that, a lot of the same kind of concerns with impacts. What are we doing for lot area coverage? Because we are still in the shoreline zone, so we'll need to verify all that. I'm just kind of quickly going through where they're filing us, again, the same thing, where they're filing a stormwater management through the DP. They'll have a main historic preservation letter. The board should require some kind of containment of phosphorus on the individual lots, even though they may not be developed by the owner. The road is a 16-foot travelway with 3-foot shoulders, which they've shown. Just kind of going through, just again, making sure. We did not, again, same thing, did not get an HHE 200 form. There's no floodplain, as this one's a little bit further back from Sebago Lake. Same issue, the wetland report dealt with all the wetlands from basically the front of Lot 5 back to Raymond Cape Road. Same thing, I'm betting that some of those back wetlands on Lot 5 may be vernal pools, so we're gonna have a very similar situation as we did to the last one. And same thing overall, sunset provision letter. I believe the Gone lot that's shown in the front is similar to the other one. It's exempt because it's already.
That's actually that's taken out of this.
Okay.
It was split years ago.
Okay, so we don't, so that lot, the boundary for this property actually goes around that, correct?
Yep.
Okay. And so I think with that, we'll just let the application, this will be served by underground power, is that correct? Okay, so we'll just, the only thing with that, Bill, is we'll just need to see where you'll have future transformers, or if you need any easement for transformers or anything like that, if it's not in the actual right-of-way, which I know dealing with CMP is not much fun, but. And there'll have to be a road association with this as well. It's going to be private. So with that, I can turn it over to the applicant.
Okay, Bill?
Thank you again, Bill Thompson, BH2M Engineers, Project Manager, and Steve Clark is here tonight also. Just a little history of this piece. Lot 1 was the first division out. Steve sold that to his sister, and she's building a house there. The road is 1,450 feet private road, 22 feet wide, which includes the shoulders. Underground utilities, which are in partway up to get power for that first lot. So we'll continue the underground utilities. We have 2 turnouts for fire lanes. They're shown on the site plan, one between the lot 2 and 4, and one to the other at the end of between lots 3 and 5. So the distance of the road required a little more than one, so we've said we need one at the end of the road for turnaround, and then we tried to split the difference close to give another turnaround. Those will all be signed fire lane with the proper signage, and the details on the subdivision plan show what the fire chief had requested for that. All the lots exceed the minimum standard of a 3-acre lot. There'll be on-site septic wells. Test pits were not completed at the time of this submission, but they have on the drawing that's up on the board. Again, 2 test pits we completed on each lot. Great soils, a lot of elevation out there, but we'll get the septic systems to work without any issue. So again, test pits are shown. And then, as I stated on the last one with the HHE 200, if we get a buyer for lot 2 and we come into get a building permit, come in with a little site plan, here's where I'm going to put my house, and I will do a sort of a preliminary HHE 200 that Jim had suggested on the last project, and we can get those to the planning office. Homes will have sprinkler systems, notes on the plan indicating how that is referenced as far as the NFPA requirements. Lots, again, will be sold to individuals. Steve is not a house builder on this project. So a buyer will come in and work with the planning office to get or the code office to get a permit as required. This design includes 2 vegetative soil filters. We have one down in the front near Raymond Cape Road, and the other one is halfway up the road. And that all meets the DEP stormwater for quality and quantity. That's your critical impact to any project is the road for that amount of impervious. So that's all taken care of. Go down through the filter systems and buffers and DEP. They're a little behind timing-wise, but they do have it, and we're going to try to keep prodding them along a little bit if we can. Wetland mapping was completed for the entire Lot 5. Early on, we weren't sure how far we wanted to go back, but it was suggested that the entire parcel have wetland mapping. And again, most of these wetlands are flow-through, as I indicated on the last site, flow-through on and off the property. There are a couple areas on Lot 5. There's a long finger, if you will, of a wetland. And then out on the very back corner of Lot 5, there's a closed loop wetland. So those will be looked at again in spring when the season is here. On Jim's comments, again, soil tests were completed, logs submitted after the fact. Well locations will be shown. Sprinkler system notes, note 12 on the plan indicate the type and the requirements for that. We'll have a note on there about silt barrier on the plans. Again, driveway locations won't be known until the design for a lot is completed, so that'll hopefully work well with the permit department. Again, with the main historic preservation, we'll have a letter part of the DEP's stormwater application. Again, HHE 200 forms, wetlands were completed, stormwater design provides treatment for the entire roadway, utilizing BMP treatment. And again, the 15% area non-vegetated will be limited to the structures, parking lot, and that's it. And we're hoping to move this along. Again, DEP is going to be our, I guess, slow point. But we'd like to move forward, with you folks as quickly as we can, and that may be a condition of approval a couple of months from now. So with that, I think I've covered everything. If anybody has any questions, I can go up to the drawing. And we also have a plan showing the roadway design coming up off Raymond Cape Road.
Bill, if the wetlands are flow through, is that what you said they were?
Correct.
How then, is a culvert placed under the roads there that you?
There is, yep. There'll be a
Did I miss that?
culvert crossing to maintain the hydraulic connector.
Where was it?
There's one shown, it's a 36-inch one shown at station 750.
Should be on sheet 2.
In the plan and profile. See, station 750.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Just before the turnaround, yep.
The big one, the big one. But you have to now for connectivity purposes, so.
Yeah.
And I guess on lot 4, is there going to be a building envelope?
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
It's right at the 3 acres, and the wetland takes up a significant portion. You could only build pretty much on, what would that be, the east side?
Well, it'll be the back easterly corner, if you will. There's 2 test pits up there. Those grades are quite favorable. We've got to take a look again of the deduction, if it applies to this, that was mentioned by Alex.
I think it'll be fine.
Yeah,
If it's just forested, it doesn't matter.
Yep.
Okay.
It's got to be significant or fresh water over
Greater
a
than
large
10
area.
acres.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, no, I think that would be okay with that then. Good, thank you.
The only thing I would have on that one, Bill, is because a lot of that frontage is kind of consumed by that wetland, it might be advantageous just to show where the curb cut would be for the driveway. I mean, it's pretty isolated, it's pretty narrowed down anyway, but, and if that building envelope's going to be back far, just
4.
Just make some assumptions for the lot as far as impervious and lot coverage,
Okay.
as far as what you might have to do for maybe a small side buffer or something.
Okay, thanks.
The board have questions? Pretty straightforward.
Yeah, it is. Kind of like the last one.
Yeah, you're putting sprinklers in this one, too, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
I didn't see the note anywhere.
It's on this one. It's not on your current
Oh,
plan. They
okay.
put it on the new plan they just presented to
It
me.
might be worth putting on there that lot 1 is exempt from that, because lot 1 was permitted and built prior to this,
Okay,
and there's no sprinkler system in it.
thank you.
Oh,
Yep.
Oh, good idea.
Burning,
Yeah.
Burninger.
Are you looking for the same timeline, Bill?
Well, this is, again, DEP, they haven't even acknowledged that they have, we submitted it in January.
Are you going through Portland office or through another office?
Yes.
Going through Portland? Oh,
Yeah.
boy. In the kindest of terms, good luck.
I think as far as getting this plan tweaked with what we have here, I could make the April meeting on that one also, on this one.
On this one?
Yeah. But we do need to discuss one more thing. I got a call today from Alex indicating our road design, 10% road grade does not meet the requirements in the shoreline zone. We've been, working on this for a couple months, and the first time we came in, we had a 12% road, and it was determined that you can't do 12. The ordinance has changed, and the online ordinance versus the paper ordinance didn't agree, so we made it 10%, which follows your ordinance as far as road standards. And then it was indicated to me today that that 10% road cannot be done in a shoreland zone. So that really throws a curveball at this point in the review and the design. So I guess I'd like to see what the board would consider for a waiver, or
You can meet the 12%, you can't meet
You can meet the 10.
10%, yeah.
Shoreline zone is 8,
Yeah, there's a
which
limitation
is
in the
weird
shoreline
because
zone.
it doesn't,
Needs to be added to the street standards so that this doesn't happen again.
right.
it's not in the standards. It's,
Yeah.
you find it isolated somewhere in the shoreland
Shoreline
zone.
zoning ordinance, so.
It was never brought up as
Yeah.
part of
We were
this
looking at it from subdivision,
presentation.
didn't even think about it from,
Yeah.
And to go to 8% is really going to be tough. With
And you can meet 10%?
Yes,
Yes.
yep, yep.
Alex is looking in to see if we can waive.
Yeah. I'm not sure if it can be waived. I'm gonna make sure that that's possible from you guys. Because it's in the shoreline zoning ordinance and doesn't include any waiver language like the other ordinance would. So we just gotta make sure, I mean, I think if you guys wanna discuss it and at least decide if you would be in favor of waiving it, and hopefully I can get an answer back from Phil before the end of the week so that they can.
Even if it's a arbitrary shoreline zone that we extended beyond the 250 feet, the state rules still apply?
Our ordinance applies to anything that's in shoreland, which would be on the zoning map. So this would be all in shoreland.
I know, doesn't make sense sometimes, does it?
So I'm assuming that the water runoff is going towards Raymond Cape Road. Is that a safe assumption?
Getting picked up in that soil filter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
From the road?
treated, correct,
And treated, yeah.
correct. Yeah, so none of it's sheet flowing off into the direct discharge to the lake.
Whereabouts on the road, Bill? I guess I could look that up.
It's right down at the front of the road.
Right at the front, I've got a drainage easement shown on sheet 1.
Yeah.
And then there's another one at the first turnaround. That's picking up the top part of the road.
And it's the first, am I reading this right? It's the first part of the road that you can't meet, right?
Yeah, because
10%?
it'd be a deeper cut going through there.
Yeah, it really doesn't work, you know, we've only got a 50-foot right-of-way, which was established. And with the grades in there, you can see my 10% road grade, you know, requires removal of 3 or 4 feet of existing ground. And to get down to 8%, we'll be talking about a 6-foot cut through a lot of that. And then I start losing grading width to get back into the right-of-way. You can see the contour interval on the plan view. So it really, this is a tough one.
Wayne, you don't have any problems with the 10% grade, right? For the fire?
No, it meets our private road standards.
Yeah, so,
For the fire ordinance, 10% would be the grade that they need to know.
would you say that again, please?
Yeah, sorry about that, my radio. For, to meet NFPA 1, that would be 10%.
Okay.
I think the purpose of that in the shoreline zone is not to have erosion to the soil. If you're creating a steep slope with a road, if we require an 8%, it's gonna make a significant more side slopes. You have a greater chance of erosion. So I don't know if there's any way that we could,
Yeah,
allow it. I would be in favor of letting the 10%.
Consistency with the state.
Kind of like a construction detail versus, you know, a zoning.
Right.
I realize it's shoreline zone, but it's a construction component, if you will, on building the road.
right.
Well, let me get the rest of the board in here.
I agree with that 100%.
You agree with Ed, Mike?
I do.
Wayne?
Yeah, I agree with that too, because you're defeating the purpose, like you just
Right.
said, of having that, 10%. So if you go down to 8, it makes it worse.
Right. Okay, so I think what what you've got is the permission from the board for a waiver, which you'd have to come in with writing for, with the caveat that it can be waived.
Sure.
Yeah, can we grant a waiver in this, Alex?
I'll do my best to try and make it happen. I'll have to be crafty about how I ask the question.
And we can write a creative letter to support what we just talked about, so,
Yeah, we would definitely need that to start the
for the
process.
waiver request. Yep.
So the DEP still enforces the rules outside of the
We do.
250?
We do.
We do.
We do.
This is our
Then
fault.
why can't we?
Our shoreland zone.
Why can't we waiver our extended shoreland?
Well, it's the shoreland zoning regulations
Yeah.
that have,
Why do we even have to go to the DP and ask them?
No, we.
Well, we
this doesn't
don't.
have to go through.
Yeah,
No.
yeah, so
Just the
this is
stormwater.
our fault.
Okay.
We made this rule.
This is in-house and this
yes.
stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
We've had this 8% in the shoreland zone, which we've never converted to match our other road standards.
It may come from Chapter 1000, I'm not sure, I'd have to look. That's the state
State.
document that we have to match,
Yeah.
and they don't let us alter that, because we can't be less strict than Chapter 1000.
Right.
It's kind of weird because we're outside of the 250. That only applies to within 250, but they won't let us say, you know, this applies to 250, this applies to everything else. It's kind of weird the way it,
Yeah.
But we're
Because we're more
comfortable with the 10% in the shoreline zoning, correct?
what's that?
We're comfortable with the 10%.
You guys are, yeah. Yeah, I don't know if that's in the DEP's guidelines or not, the 8%. So I don't want to say.
Yeah, because you've got two things. You've got our shoreland zoning, and then we have the state model ordinance, which we can't be less restrictive, which 10% would be less restrictive, is what he's saying.
Right.
So if the DEP has it in there at 8%, we may not be able to go less than 8%. But the DEP's jurisdiction is typically 250 feet.
Right, that's the
from
difference, yeah,
resource.
yeah.
We have the whole entire cape.
Right.
Yeah,
So-
which is why I asked the question.
Yeah,
We're like 1,200 feet away from.
right.
Yeah. Which is kind of the issue with having so much land in shoreland.
Yeah.
Larger shoreland
Yeah.
zone. These problems.
Interesting.
But, oh, I see, okay. So even if we change, we can't change if DEP has got it 8% for shoreline.
Right.
for-
Yeah, yeah.
it's a
But
problem.
what I'm going to try and figure out is if you guys have the ability to waive that.
Right,
Where it's
that'd be the
outside the
easiest.
two,
thing.
either it's outside the 250 or we just have the right up to change the road
Yeah.
standard.
That's what I'll try
Well-
for.
Yeah, I mean, that would be if we are comfortable with the 10% in the shoreline zoning, and it's our ordinance that has 8, we could probably just change the ordinance.
If it's not in the
If it's not in the
guidelines,
DEP.
yes.
Right,
Because all shoreland zoning ordinance changes have to be approved by the state, even if it's outside of
Oh.
250.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's where it gets
So
us in
that's-
trouble.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, that's,
Well, that clear it up for you, Bill?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
clear as mud.
No, I appreciate your understanding, and we'll get the waiver request back. We'll put the notes and the things that Jim and Alex talked about.
The waiver request would probably be nice to get
I'll
quick.
get that right off.
Yeah, get that first, so Alice can work for it. Work
Then
with
we'll
it.
meet the March, I believe, 6th or 8th that Sandy talked about, so that she can post and notice these two projects for public hearing and moving them forward.
Okay. Yeah, we still need to get those votes.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
a question for the applicant. Bill, have you done anything regarding the street name and addresses with the E911 coordinator for your plan? I haven't seen what came in today.
Not yet. The name, I believe, was approved for the road, and then I'll submit this to the E11 now that we know the lot numbers and let them assign the address for your benefit, yeah.
Okay, and you understand that to add those to your plan that you bring
Right
for
on,
final?
right on the final plan, correct.
Yep.
Yep.
Great,
Yeah.
thanks.
No, thank you.
Okay, same drill. We need to vote for deeming the application complete.
So moved.
Second?
Moved by Greg, second by Mike. All those in favor? All right, application
Aye.
complete. And now, we're missing a lot, and actually, Bill, it's the other thing I want to tell you is, we have not been, and I don't see us changing, giving approval to projects without, with the DEP approval being contingent upon.
You don't,
We do not.
okay.
So if we can proceed along with the April, but we're going to be bringing you back in May if you don't have DEP permitting in.
Okay.
So if you could kind of put that into the.
Yeah, because you're going to have a preliminary first anyway for this one. It's major.
Right.
And you'd have to come back in.
You have to come back.
Or May or June with, so he's got till June probably before we need to see the final.
Right.
Final.
Yep.
Can
Okay.
you see these maps anywhere online?
Yep.
Or anything? Those that
Are the maps? Yeah, here.
Should be online. There's-
Oh, okay. I live down the road, I'm interested in what's going on. Somebody clear cut a lot of rock on the trees on the
Yeah, that would be Brandon Chase. That's the one that you guys were talking about earlier. Cleared about 5 acres. He's planning on building a single family. So that is permitted. He can clear 10,000 square feet or 25% of the lot
Single
area.
acre.
And it's like 26-acre lot, I think, so he can clear quite a bit.
Oh, okay, so the 13 houses aren't
No.
No, he's pulled that application.
good.
Yeah, these are gonna be like 1,000 feet back on the other side of the hill, so you'll never see them.
All right.
We're good. Great. Thanks for your time.
You're welcome. Ma'am, you can have my copy if you'd like. You're welcome. All right, next up, Stephen and Susan Adams on a lot line change. Where'd that one go? There we go.
This one's pretty straightforward, I think, Mr. Chair. It's just basically a swap of property between two lot owners on Granite Wood subdivision. Both, the lot that's giving up is more than adequate land to do that. There were a few minor things that we'd want to see on the plan before the board either approves or signs. This is for the benefit of Lot 8 and 9 only. The plan should show pins to be set along the new common sideline with Lot 8. A note should be on the plan. This plan amends Lot 8 and 9 only of a previously plan approved of Granite Wood Phase 2 Granite Wood subdivision in May 29, 2002. All the record information. The lot areas would have to be updated, and then we'd want to see the appropriate yard setbacks for the new property lines. And then the final plan will need to be signed and sealed by a professional surveyor, provide a signature block for the board. There is a stream in the back, Hayden Brook, but I do have a plan right here. But obviously the lots are already in place, and I think it's just to benefit Lot 8 wants a little additional land to do some things in the back of their property. They would be in a stream protection, part of that lot could be in a stream protection district, but it doesn't preclude them from doing certain things. Which their lot, piece of lot 9 is already in a stream protection. It's in the stream protection, but it doesn't preclude them from being able to do certain things. If you look, Hayden Brook's way over to the west.
Okay.
So to me, it's just a simple property swap. Because they're altering the lot lines, it has to come back to the board. And
That's everything. Yep. Okay, sir.
Hi, I'm Steve Adams. My wife Susan's here. I'm the owner of 19 Ball Drive, and I submitted the application to request approval to allow us to sell the 0.86 acres that goes directly behind the lot 9. And on the map, it's roughly located where the, you see the C11. If you find lot 9 and lot 8.
Found lot 8.
Okay, lot 8's property, which is the one that I own, that we own, goes behind lot 9, 10, and 11.
Yeah, it's 18.73 acres. Lot 8.
Where is lot 9, 10, 11?
65.
9 is, if you go to the hammerhead, right here,
That's it, okay.
you got it?
I got,
This is 8. This is 8. Am I looking at this right now? Am I upside down? This is lot 8 here on the end. Lot 9 is right here, but 8 goes all the way up into here.
oh, okay.
So 8 goes all the way behind lots 9, 10, and 11.
You can
Got
see
it.
lot 9 is 1.44 acres.
Yep,
So so what I was trying to describe is that roughly where the C11 is on lot 8, going down that side of that right of way,
yep,
we'll cut triangle over to the back of the corner of lot 9 and 10. So there's an existing pin there. It's roughly a triangle section. And that was surveyed and included in the application. So it's selling just really being neighborly, sell the to the next door neighbor.
Butters.
oh, between the brothers?
Butters.
Oh, brothers, okay.
Not brother.
Yeah.
Not brother. We are not
Okay.
of relations.
Well, that's all one lot.
Okay, so,
And so we had George Sawyer did the survey, and as I noted in the filing letter, that if we had approval to actually consummate the sale, I've already contacted George, he would prepare the new subdivision map.
right,
But I assume that we actually have to have the sale occur so that we can,
Or just a right to it.
right,
Yeah.
normally.
Yeah, right title or interest.
Yes.
Could be interest.
Right.
I didn't follow that. Can you just,
What's that?
I didn't follow what you said.
To show proof for a subdivision, you either have to have right, which would be ownership, title ownership, or interest, a letter saying that there's interest in the property for both parties to do the transaction.
Okay.
So that's all we would need in this case. So you don't necessarily have to execute it, but there has to be an agreement between the two parties. They're willing to play ball, basically.
Okay.
Okay, and there are a couple other things, weren't there, outstanding? Or besides just the plot?
Yeah, I think I went through everything. Maybe, I hope I didn't miss anything.
Was I thinking something else?
I mean, it doesn't change anything with any of the lots or any of the uses on the lots. The lots are already served by homes and wells, the septic system, so it's all just lot lines at this point. Lot lines and area changes. We just need to update the two areas.
Okay, so just for the board, we don't have enough of it, and actually for you, Steve, we don't have enough to approve this evening. But we could, we could approve with conditions that would allow staff to follow through with the changes. And the only change with that would be that we wouldn't bring Steve and his wife back to the board. And they could probably move it through a little faster.
Right, and you could waive the public hearing if you don't feel I don't feel it's necessary in this case, but you can waive it.
Well, no, because it's the butters that
The
are
butters,
involved.
right. But understand in the future.
Yes. Yes. So it's up to you guys. So our course of action would be to advertise as a public hearing, because it is a subdivision. And then wait for the next, wait for the plot, the redrawn plot, and then we could approve at that point. Or we could waive the public hearing. We can approve now with the condition of approval being that Steve brings in the right letter, the intent, and the redrawn subdivision plots without having to come back to the board.
I'm good with that.
Yeah, you don't have to come back to the board once staff reviews, make sure everything's in compliance to sign.
Right, we have to sign it, but that's, means they don't need to come for that.
Right.
Well, is there anybody's thoughts?
I like option 2.
Yeah.
With that.
What was option 2?
The faster one.
The one where we didn't have to come back.
Yeah. Well, you did sit through this whole meeting, so.
It was all right.
Yeah, so no public hearing, they don't have to come back, they just have to do what we discussed and get the letter and a new plot plan.
Yes.
And work it out with Alex, with staff.
So we need to make that a motion?
We do.
I think Ed just did.
Yeah, that sounded like your motion, yeah.
That's a motion.
All right, did we get,
All right.
did we get everything in there? Sandy, do you have that, all that, what do you have, you have it all?
I did, I already had it written for you.
Oh, but,
I'm glad, because we'll have to do a findings of fact on that, too.
Right.
Everybody else, what do you have written, Sandy? I just want to make sure we are.
Okay, I have it that Greg moved to waive the public hearing and grant approval of the amendment with the conditions to submit the, and I haven't written that part yet, but it's up there, the survey and the letter of intent.
Okay.
It's Ed.
It was Ed.
It's Ed.
Ed, not
Ed, sorry.
It's contagious.
Sounded alike.
All the time, 2 of us.
Right, so which one of you seconded that?
It looks a lot.
You just switch
Kevin, thank you, Kevin.
Just switch them out.
there we go. Well, I got 2.
Do you want that compliant to the items I brought up in my memo as well?
Yes, that's what I was.
Okay, just be
We
clear.
have to vote, right?
Yep.
Yes, we have to vote.
After discussion, which,
But we do, that was the other thing, though, is what I was asking for that is in there, that was in your memo,
Okay.
which we should put into the motion so Steve knows.
Yep, it should be the items I've listed in my memo, 1 through 5.
Got it.
Okay,
Part of my technical review, 1 through 5.
all right. Friendly amendment? Friendly amendment accepted?
Yes.
Accepted?
yeah.
All those in favor? All right. All right, I pass, you're all set.
All right, great. Thank you.
Staff communicate,
Just double checking that this letter got,
Yes.
Yes.
I got it.
we all got it. Alex,
Staff communications?
staff communications and updates.
So, as we discussed a few minutes ago, that subdivision on Cape Road by Brandon Chase is no more. He does plan on building just a single family on that one, so that one's done. The condo project on 85 is well underway. They will be planning on applying for building permits, I think for pretty much all the units, pretty quick. So, Raymond Village, yep. The one down in the old gravel pit, I've heard nothing.
Oh, that's the Willie.
Willie, yeah, nothing on that one. I think he was trying to sell it.
Boulder Bend.
Boulder Bend.
They haven't even, no, decal. They haven't even recorded their plan yet. I've been trying to follow up with them, but, you know, it's wrong.
Yeah, there's a time frame on that.
Time frame
so
on that, too.
That would
I
nullify,
reminded him.
nullify everything.
That may have to come back to be re-signed.
Yeah. The subdivision on Valley Road, I believe, expires in July. So that one, they won't even start by July. So
Okay.
that one I would expect will come back to you guys at some point down the road. There is a site plan application coming in for next month for a very small campground on the Cape. I'm talking 3 lots, so it's pretty small, 3 sites.
3 sites.
So that'll be coming in for next month.
I don't think we've ever had a camper.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, it'll be
You mean a
different.
legal one.
Yeah, right.
Did that come in today?
It did come in today.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Sorry, it was kind of a mess today.
I'm not surprised.
Everyone's moving offices in our building for our annual office move that we do every year. So it's a little bit of chaos.
And a quick question on you, Alex, while you're right there. We were supposed to move your computer tonight, right? Because they're doing it right now.
Yes. Yep. Yes.
Don't log in.
You can move anyone's. Just move anyone's at this point. So I think that's all I have. You have anything else, Jim?
I can't think of anything else. You answered my question on both Boulder Bend and Valley View, so yeah, there is a statute, and I think it's 45 or 60 days from the time of approval. Those have to be recorded.
From the time we sign it?
Correct.
Really? I didn't realize the time. on that.
Yeah, there's a time that's a town or state statute for that, so.
Yeah. I will regret saying it, but it's been very slow. It's probably been the slowest winter that I can remember since probably 2016 or 17.
And the Chase subdivision is gone. It's just now going to be a single-family lot?
Yeah, yeah. I haven't actually issued a building permit for a new single-family in 2 months or more.
Wow.
Which isn't, I don't know if that's ever happened.
Yeah,
so
single family has
it's
down.
really
the interest
really
rates
slow.
did it kind of, but outside of Raymond, we're seeing a lot of multifamily.
But I mean, we'll be issuing 25 or 13 building permits for this condo project. So that's gonna probably keep us going this summer. And I expect it'll pick up with some seasonal stuff, but.
Did they make the water tap yet?
No, they're getting ready to do that March 1st.
Yeah, 'cause they gotta pave, so they gotta.
Yeah, I think March 1st, he said.
And that's been inspected by
Chris Baldwin.
Chris Baldwin from Cumberland County, so there's been eyes on that because there was, as you remember, there was a lot of eyes surrounding that. So.
And the marina seems to have started back up again.
Yeah.
Yeah, the marina will be.
Will that be on the next?
Yeah, I believe so, right?
I think that's what Rob told me.
Okay. So when the marina comes back, just so we all know, when we're looking at it, one of the things we'll need to determine is whether or not that the redone plan is a major revision. And I don't think there's any criteria for that, is there, Jim, or Alex, whether or not it's a major revision?
I think there may be. I'll have to look at that up.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there may be some language for that. That might be in subdivision. I think it's just subdivision.
So the impact to us would be if it's in fact a major revision, then everything starts over.
Right, you're going to determine where you want to pick up the roof.
Right. If we're just going to say it's a revision to the ongoing project, then everything that we have done can stay and we can just move forward. So when you look at the plans, that will be our first discussion item.
Yeah, you may have to go back one step to go forward too.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, I think it's going to be we probably may or may not have to do a site walk, but we certainly would have to do the public hearing again.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's probably the biggest piece of that. You have to determine if it's substantial enough, and I think the attorney's going to tell you if it smells and looks, you should.
Yeah, I think that I would probably agree with that.
So.
Okay, what else?
Comprehensive Planning Committee, we have selected a person to take care,
consult.
A planner, God. We selected a planner. That's as far as the committee's gotten so far. We only had one bid. We did everything properly and so forth. We only had one bid, and I think we've accepted that. And
who's the planner?
it's North Star.
Yeah, Ben Smith.
Yeah, they've done
quite a few.
Comprehensive plan. They did Gray, Naples, and several other nearby towns.
Yeah, that's who we recommended to.
Yeah. Seemed very good, very competent. We were very comfortable with them. And
yeah, they've done a lot around this area. So
I think their bid was 107,000 or somewhere in that neighborhood to be probably negotiated. We have students from the University of Maine that are willing to help to some degree. And some of the work that the planner might do, we may be able to do ourselves. So that's where we are now.
it's a lot of meetings.
We're looking at a couple of years.
Yeah.
Okay. I am traveling probably the next 2 meetings, so I will be Zooming in, definitely next meeting, and maybe April otherwise. Ed is standing by.
Craig?
Yeah, Greg.
Great, yeah.
Ed is standing by to step in.
Is that your middle name by chance?
And I only bring that up because, I'm not sure how it'll work from the Zoom. I'm assuming it'll be okay. But if you guys would be more comfortable with Ed running it, since he'll be here, you're not going to hurt my feelings. Just, yell at me and I'll pass it over to Ed.
Yeah.
Or Greg.
You can bring the gavel with you.
I will definitely bring the gavel with me, yeah. Okay, anything else?
Move to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Done.